Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Dayna Show. I'm your host, Dayna Kaplan. Before we begin, if you enjoy my content, please follow me on social media, subscribe to my channel here, like and comment below. It really helps the show. I haven't been around for a couple of weeks. I've had some personal issues. Life got complicated, but I'm excited to come back and come back with a bang. My next guest today is Michael HarPaz, and many of you know him from his recent appearances on Kochav HaBa. But today I want to meet the man behind the music. We'll talk about his personal journey, the highs and lows and challenges of the industry, and what shaped him into the artist that he is today. We'll also dive into what it means to stand up for Israel, to represent this country through his art, and how music can become a voice of strength, pride, and unity in challenging times. This is a conversation about creativity, identity, and heart. Am Yisrael Chai. Let's get into it. This is your camera on the left, and the center one is both of us.
Just like, not every podcast you go to pays this much attention to all of the details. I have coffee, a Magen David coaster. She baked me cookies, and I got a gift with a sticker on it, and everything is just. I'm very impressed. Look at them opening it the way my mom taught me.
Do I treat you better than they do?
Opa, magniv.
What do you think?
Groovim, gadol, Chai socks.
This is an Israeli sock company.
They're
my sponsor.
Awesome. Really?
Yeah.
You have a sponsor?
Yeah.
Look at you.
And they have the coolest socks.
These are sweet. I need a sponsor too.
Will you wear them?
I will wear them, of course.
Okay.
I'll wear them at one of my shows.
Okay.
Sado?
Okay.
Guvim, do they have like an Instagram or something?
Yes, of course,
All right. It's very important for those of you watching, little tidbit of trivia. So this is the Made in Israel logo. You can kind of zoom in on that. And this logo, which you can also see is being worn by their little mascot here. But the logo, which if you don't know what it is, do you know what it is?
The logo?
Yeah. Do you know why the Made in Israel logo is what that is?
No.
So this is called a kovatember. And this is a very old school Israeli kibbutz type of thing. It's the kind of hat that they would wear in the field. It's called like a dunce cap, basically. That's how it translates to in Hebrew, but it is. We're already starting with the hasbara. I can't even help myself. But anyway, isn't that cool? That's the Made in Israel logo. Sorry. All right, I'm taking these home with me. I'm putting them over here, but they're awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And I hope that you'll actually wear them.
I will.
You'll get a lot of compliments.
I have a gig Sorry. I have a gig soon. I'll wear them at my gig. All right.
Okay. Michael.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm actually really, really good. I'm super excited that you're here. First
Really?
of all, I didn't know that you were so famous when we met.
I'm not famous. I'm only famous in my own mind.
Really? Tell me something. How do you feel right now after the whole experience with Kochav HaBa?
It was a fun gig. I had a great time.
Yeah?
I wished I would have, won or, gone a little further. I think I deserved to get to the Final Four, but we make plans and God laughs, and it's all good. I had an amazing experience, and I was just honored to be part of it.
Yeah. So I want to pick your brain about that afterwards, but for the people that
off camera.
Yeah. For the people.
You want the real scoop?
I do want the real scoop.
Just kidding.
1 second, but for the people that are listening that don't know who you are, because I have an audience in Chutz La'aretz as well.
Chutz La'aretz, that's out of the country, in the Gola.
Yeah.
Yes, familiar.
You're originally from Detroit.
I am.
Okay, so tell me, what brought you to Israel?
A plane. My father.
I know that you're not 100% with me right now, but can you
I'm 1,000% with you. I'm always with you. What are you talking about? My father.
Wait, do you have ADHD?
No.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But my father was a clinical psychotherapist, so that may have something to do with it. Who knows? He could be. And my mom was also like a social worker, so it could be that maybe where it stems from.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm just kidding. My father was Israeli, was born here, and my mother was born in a DP camp in Georgia, Russia, and they both kind of immigrated to the United States. They both have very interesting stories, but it's kind of a long thing. Relative to Israel, quickly, my grandmother, my father's mother, who was separated from her sister in Eastern Europe, she was on the last boat that came into Palestine before they kind of closed everything down. And after the war, the Magen David Adom, Israel's version of the Red Cross, I say version.
I used to work there.
Roughly. Where?
I was an ambulance driver for Madda.
Okay, great, amazing. So they used to, at the end, before Shabbat would start, they would broadcast a recording of people's names looking for survivors, whatever. Moshe Goldberg from Lodz looking for his sister Rivka, and people would listen to the radio right before Shabbat started. Anyway, that was where they got their information. You hear the news, and there was like a siren and such to mark the beginning of Shabbat. So my grandmother heard her sister's name on the radio. Wow. She had survived like 6 concentration camps and was alive in Detroit. So she went to visit her sister in Detroit, and when she came back, her husband, my grandfather, had fallen ill with kidney failure, and there was no dialysis in Israel at the time, so they all moved to Michigan because at the University of Michigan there was dialysis. And then my dad, fast forward to when he was married and had kids, decided he wanted to take a sabbatical from his practice and go back to Israel and do his army service, which he didn't get to do because he left when he was 16. Okay. So that's when we moved to Israel, when I was 4, for that year. And then we moved back to Detroit. My father continued to yell at me in Hebrew for my entire life. I went to a...
Did you speak Hebrew at home?
So like I said, I got screamed at Hebrew a lot. And I went to a private a private Jewish day school, Detroit's version of like a Solomon Schechter type of school called Hillel Day School.
Were you guys religious?
No. Zionist. Very Zionist. Very, very Zionist. My father was like one of the core founders of like the Israeli community in the Detroit metropolitan area.
Does anybody call you Mordechai Gershon?
Only when I'm called to the Torah or as a joke by those who know me very, very well.
Uh-huh. Because I thought that was really interesting.
Yes. There's a long story about that too, but I don't know how much time we have.
Well, I want to talk about your upbringing a little bit.
Okay.
Who you are and where you come from. Where does all of this Mordechai Gershon come from?
Mordechai Gershon ben Natan HaKohen, if we're already...
Wow, you're a Kohen too?
Yes.
Dude, I didn't know that. Much respect.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That story about the guy who goes...
Well, can you give me a blessing?
Sure, afterwards, okay. Off camera, because blessings on camera cost a lot more money.
Okay.
I was going to tell you a joke, but anyway, it doesn't matter, not funny anymore. So I lived in Israel for a year, then moved back to the States, lived in the Detroit Jewish community, went to a public high school, was very much involved since I was a kid. My father was a violin prodigy, and my mother was a singer, like a jazz singer.
Okay.
When she was 3, in this DP camp, they put on a talent show for some U.S. soldiers who were visiting the camp. And the general was so enamored with my mom, who was like this little Shirley Temple type of person, that he put her and her family on a list to get taken to the United States.
Oh, wow.
That's how she got to New York. So music, specifically Jewish music and Israeli music, were very, very prevalent in my home. We were like sort of known for, there's 4 of us, my mom, my father, my sister, and I. My parents.
Like the Von Trapp family?
Right, with the 4 of us singing in 5-part harmony. That was sort of like the joke amongst my father would, he was a clinical psychotherapist, but on Fridays he would come home, we would have Shabbat dinner. And my mom who was an amazing chef, but also extremely, like, very fast. Like, she would come home from work. She also worked full time, and in like an hour, whip up a dinner for 12 people. And my dad would call my mom on the phone. Right, there were no cell phones at the time, so I still do this, but he would call her on the phone before he left the office, and tell her that he was bringing, home 3 extra people for dinner, and the doctor friend of his and somebody that he wasn't, and she would just, and then these people would come home. I was expected to put on a shirt and tie. I've been wearing like suits since I was 5 years old, literally. Wow. Yeah, we would go to the opera. I was wearing a shirt. I knew how to, mamash, shirt and tie. If my friends would come over, they also had to wear shirt and tie to Friday. We weren't religious. Like, afterwards, when dinner was over, we could go upstairs and watch TV, or when I was older, I'd get in my car and, go wherever. But Friday night, Shishi, that's what we did. And part of that dinner, first, before there was we would light the candles, we would sing like a couple like Zmirot Shabbat before, like, Kabbalat Shabbat, and then afterwards, my dad would pull out the guitar. Then once I learned to play, I would pull out the guitar, and he would play. He was a violinist, so he would play the mandolin, and my mom would sing, and my sister would sing and play the flute, and we would it was
Wow.
Yeah. And then there are 2 other families that are, well, they're no longer in Detroit, all of them, but they were in Detroit. 2 other families that sort of, together with my father, these 3 families kind of were very, very tight. And our Pesach Seder became like, there were 60 people at a Seder, like huge singing, and music was very, very, very much a part of my life. Through Judaism and through my father's love and my mother, but behind every strong, man is an even stronger woman. So there was no way my dad could have done anything that he did without my mom. But I'm just saying the Israel quotient came from him, and I just grew up with a love of this country it was like a part of my DNA.
And music.
And music.
Did you always know that that's what you wanted to do? That you wanted to become
I
a
always
performer?
knew in my heart.
Did you study music as a child?
Or
as you got older?
Well, I was originally I was accepted to the University of Michigan School of Musical Theater program, which was at the time, it still is, but at the time it was like one of the best programs. It was a very exclusive, like 19 people in the entire country got into this program. I got in. All these people that learned, one of my friends who's now, a director of a program himself. His mother had a theater, like a professional theater company in our town, and somebody else was like a piano prodigy. I literally learned to sing at my Shabbos dinner table.
Wow.
I didn't like that sort of conservatory type of environment, and I ended up transferring and getting my degree in Judaic and Near East Studies from University of Michigan, which they also have a very good program there, and a very high concentration of Arabs and Muslims, first of all, in Michigan, in Detroit specifically, and at the university. In addition to back then, it was the Iraq War and Scuds and gas and all this kind of stuff. But there were protests back then as well, and
anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism, anti-Israelism, anti-Zionism. Yeah, it was
Even
definitely
back then.
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember.
Did you experience on yourself?
Of course. Well, I experienced anti-Semitism in my high school. I went to a private Jewish school, and then from my private Jewish school, I went to the public high school that was like that my neighborhood, my city was district was assigned to or whatever.
Yeah.
So the district that I grew up in had the town that I'm from, which is sort of an upper middle class neighborhood with a very high Jewish population, mixed with a middle class neighborhood with a sort of you're just white, American, people, regular,
Okay.
just Caucasian, white American Protestants, Christians, what have you. From Michigan, though. And then another town that had a lot of Arabs, both Muslims and Chaldeans, which are Christian Arabs that come from Iraq,
Okay.
from Chaldea, from Ur, where Abraham is from, which I spent a lot of time trying to explain to them. There's a whole issue, by the way, of Christian Arabs, youth not knowing their own history and sort of identifying with all of this Islamistic, fanatic. Anyway, different story. But anyway, so that was my high school, and the white the white Caucasian, just America group. Those people, that town that school's from, that my school is in, which is where these people live, used to be the home of the KKK in Michigan. So there was what is a non-derogatory term for these people that I can't remember. But anyway, the same guys that kind of stormed the Capitol on January 6th, Michigan militia type.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Confederate flag. Michigan is, it's Michigan. So my first day in high school, somebody ripped my chai off my neck, and there were flyers going around from the KKK telling the kikes and all the other racial slurs to go. Anyway, that was my first day at my high school.
How did it make you feel? Were you scared?
Initially, I was a little bit in shock, and then I was scared when this guy ripped my necklace off my neck. And he didn't really confront. He said something to me, whatever, and then he walked away. I was more scared because I knew I had to tell my dad, and I was more scared of what my dad was going to do to this kid, because my dad was crazy. I didn't tell my dad what happened, because my dad would have found this 10th grader at the time and branded him with a chai on his chest. That's what he would have done, for sure, at the very least. So I told him I lost it or whatever it is, and then
You never told your
I told him later.
What about the school?
And he said to me, "It's good you didn't tell me, because I would have branded him with a chai."
What about the school?
No.
Really?
They were these. I mean, I went to a high school really as cliche as it sounds, one of those high schools right out of what you would think, from one of these Friday night, we had the football team, and we had the cheerleaders, and I was a drama goon, in the glee club, the whole.
You had a glee club?
We had a choir, and I had a little. There was a varsity choir, and then we had a little band of 5 guys that did barbershop, kind of harmony. We sang "Whoa for the longest time." You remember that song?
Yeah, of course.
We would do that. We performed at our graduation. We had a good drama department. So it was kind of just like Glee. There were the football guys, but we had lots of talented people in the music department. In the band, we competed at state level, so you could be sort of cool and be in the choir as well. You know what I mean? They're kind of they were cool. They were jocks. I wasn't a jock, but I wasn't saying I was cool. But there were cool people in our choir. For the record.
Okay. So then how did you get to Israel then?
So I do I finish high school, and then I go to U of M, and I end up getting my degree. And even though I got my degree in Judaic Studies and Near East Studies with a minor in Hebrew Literature with honors at the University of Michigan, thank you very much, I never thought I would use my degree. I always wanted to sing and act. One of the reasons I left the musical theater program is because I founded a University of Michigan children's theater troupe, which would perform at children's hospitals and stuff for sick kids and whatever, and they didn't like that we were. And I was doing some modeling on the side, and I was busking, with my guitar, and they wanted me strictly. Anyway, so I always had that bug. So when I graduated with this very useful degree in Near East and Judaic Studies, with a minor in Hebrew literature, like anybody cares, in Huntington Woods, Michigan, I moved to New York and lived on my friend's couch. My friend Josh and my friend Eric, maybe they're listening to this podcast right now, but I lived on
Hi, Josh and Eric.
Hey, what's up, guys? I lived on their couch, and I would busk in the streets and play guitar. And one day, I was invited to a screening of a film called The Siren Song, I think is how it's translated into English, Shirat HaSirena, which was a movie that Eitan Fuchs, one of Israel's most prominent directors, won the Israel Film Prize for, and was screening in New York. So some Israeli girl that I knew, Israeli-Austrian girl that I knew, invited me to this screening, and I met Eitan and his partner Gal Hovsky, and they loved my Hebrew-English.
That's how you met Eitan?
Thing.
That's where you met him?
And they said, you need to be in our new project that we're doing called Florentine. You would be perfect in that TV show. And I said, okay. So they went back to Israel. I called them a couple of weeks later. They're like, yeah, it's happening. I shaved my head, got on a plane, and flew to Tel Aviv on November. It was like right after Rabin was shot. Like the end of November, beginning in December 1995, I want to say.
Right.
Right? Is that right? 95? Yeah. Came to Israel, and then while I was sitting with Eitan, I'm making the huge long story as least long-winded as I possibly can. But anyway, I was meeting with Eitan about the script for Florentine, which for those of you who don't know what that is, Florentine became Israel's sort of like Melrose Place, I guess is the best way to. So I ended up not being in Florentine because while I was meeting with Eitan about said show, he showed me a classified ad in the newspaper, of that day's newspaper, that said, looking for good-looking guys that know how to sing and dance, please call Kipton at such and such phone number. I'm like, what's Kipton? And he goes, Kipton is the name of my friend Moshe Kipton. Call this guy. This is good for you. And I called, I went, and I auditioned for this thing. I didn't know what it was. They were making a boy band. And I got in. This guy, Kipton, ended up becoming like the artistic director of Habima. And he's one of the biggest, he directed the Eurovision here. He's one of the biggest producers in Israel. Brilliant guy. But anyway, he and a team, like a jury of like the biggest of, and the best in like all of these different, in music, dance, production, they kind of built this dream team together, and they picked these 5 guys, and we worked for 9 months in top secret, and became the biggest pop band in the history of this country.
I know. Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible.
It was crazy.
Were boy bands like really huge in
Yes.
the United States at the time?
So interestingly enough, there were some American boy bands that were big in Europe because Lou Pearlman, which is this guy who made all these boy bands, decided to bring them to. There's a producer in Europe. His name is Max Martin. He's responsible for a disproportionate amount of hits over the past 20, 30 years. Everything from Britney Spears to he does everybody. So he brought them to this guy, Max Martin, and then he produced their records, and then they toured Europe.
Which group was this?
NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys.
Okay. Did you know about Westlife?
Of course, but
Westlife.
Westlife is a European group, is a British group.
Yeah.
It was Westlife, and E17, and of course Take That, who were huge, all those guys. But I was watching like Backstreet Boys perform on MTV Europe and calling this was before
High five.
this.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm like, have you guys heard of these guys? Because these guys they're American. I can hear they've got like Tennessee accents, but they're in Sweden performing at MTV Copenhagen or whatever it is.
Right.
And basically, one of the people at HarPaz, which is the record label that we were signed to, she had a boyfriend from England who was like a fashion rock photographer, and they came up with this idea to basically carbon copy, Take That was really the reference, and do it here. And they did. And to say that we crushed it would be an understatement of the century. specifically
What
to
was
what
it
we were
like
doing.
being in a boy
It was
band?
insane. Well, not as a boy band.
Did you make a lot of money?
No, we didn't make very much money at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
We were the act that showed the Israeli entertainment industry that you could make money in entertainment. But they didn't really figure it out until sort of it was kind of like we were the thing that sort of blew the doors off of pop. There was no pop before us. Before us, it was either rock, I mean, the subject matter here, unfortunately, is very hard to deal with when you're writing about songs, you know what I mean? So you either have like very kind of like depressing rock music because of just where the climate, the political climate, and the fighting and the killing and the death and all that kind of stuff. Or like Israeli mute, like, Shlomo Artzi, Shalom Chanoch, that kind of stuff. And then or some weird, experimental rock, which became, pop, like Aviv Geffen, who back in the day, was wearing black, eyeliner, and he was very like dark and sort of emo, I guess you'd call emo rock. And people were committing suicide for his music, all that kind of, and that kind of stuff. And then it was like we landed from, they told us, like, you are supposed to be like, you were a band from London that speaks Hebrew.
So they liked that you had an accent.
That was my thing. I was the American.
Did you have an accent in Hebrew?
No. I mean, no, not really. I mean, I don't really have Ani lo medaber ivrit. I don't speak like
me.
Like an American. I didn't say that, but I don't.
It's okay.
I don't have a thick.
Listen, you and
I grew up, in an Israeli home, so.
You and I have a couple of things in common. First of all, we are born 6 days apart.
Really?
Yeah, I'm on the 26th of December, and
No
you're on the
kidding.
20th, the same year.
We sandwiched Jesus.
That's right. That's right. That's the first thing. The second thing.
But you're a Capricorn, right?
Yes.
See, I'm a Sagittarius.
Okay. So
You have to check and see what your Hebrew birth date was in our year. I won't say the year because
I'm not ashamed of my age.
So all right,
Dude, I love my age.
So check the Hebrew date of your but in the year of the year, and see what the Hebrew zodiac is, because that's supposedly energy-wise, kabbalistically, that is really.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's more significant than the English
I'm
one?
a Capricorn in Hebrew.
Okay.
Which is weird. I think that
Do you believe in that garbage?
Which garbage?
The zodiac signs.
In the zodiac, no, not so much. I definitely believe in the energy part, though. More about just good energy and bad energy.
Yeah.
Not.
Do you get from me good energy?
From you?
Yeah.
You radiate positive energy. Plus,
Really?
she baked me cookies. She thinks I'm leaving some for her kids.
Okay, wait, let's get back to something,
Sorry.
okay? No,
Yes.
it's okay, it's okay. Entertainment industry in Israel versus entertainment industry in Chutz La'aretz.
You mean
Differences
in America,
similarities.
we'll say.
America.
Well, 'cause it's-
North America.
In Malta, I would imagine it's probably different than it is here.
Yeah, in Sudan, it's probably different.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's basically.
Do you think you would have been popular in America if you stayed?
I mean, I left High Five with the intent of sort of continuing on to Los Angeles.
Uh-huh.
And then I got to Detroit. I was in a relationship with someone, which was also kind of clouded my focus, I guess I could say. And then just completely randomly, my father's close friend, colleague, mentor, and one of the three of those families, like the head of the other, there were three families. So one of the heads, he's a psychiatrist. He was shot and killed in his office, and then by a patient, who then killed another patient, and then committed suicide.
Holy crap.
In my father's, it wasn't my father's practice. In my father's, anyway, my father was out of town that day, thank God. But that completely sent. It was just the whole my dad's whole universe kind of like was completely just broken apart. I couldn't just go off to LA, So I was in Detroit for some time, and then like I said,
your family?
Yeah.
You schlepped everyone back to Detroit?
I didn't have a family; it was just me at the time.
Okay.
And then once things sort of got back to normal again, I was introduced to Natalie, who is now my wife, and fell madly in love with her, and then eventually ended up moving to Israel to be with her because I couldn't live without her.
And you decided...
Still can't.
Beautiful.
It's true.
And you decided to make a career in entertainment here?
Not yet. I'll let you know.
Well, what's your goal? Like, what do you want?
I'm just kidding.
What do you want out of entertainment? Out of all of this,
I want to keep doing what I'm doing. Just I would like
what you're doing.
I love what I do.
What do you want to achieve?
People say that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
So I tried. My father said that to me. He said to me, "I don't care what you do, as long as you're the best at it that you can be. You want to be a chef? Go to France and learn to be a chef. You want to." Whatever you want to sing, I understand if you want to busk on the streets to kind of learn the brass, get yourself mishufshaf.
Yeah.
But you can't make a career out of singing on the street. Although I did pretty well when I was singing in New York. In America, had I done in America what I did here, it would be on the scale that we did here, it would be a very my material success would be, very different. But
you're willing to give that up?
I love living in this country. It's way better than living in anywhere else, especially if you have, in my opinion, especially if you have children. Certainly through high school.
Why do you think so? Besides the Zionist aspect of it, why?
Well, again, if you're not Jewish or that part is not important to you, then this discussion isn't relevant. But if it is important to you, then living here, first of all, I have nothing, I love everybody, right? But hopefully want to have Jewish grandchildren, and there's a way better chance of that happening if my kids live in this country and marry someone Jewish than if they live in the United States and marry someone not Jewish. Love has a very kind of funny way of getting in the way of that stuff. So if the potential suitors are Jewish as opposed to, or mostly Jewish as opposed to non-Jewish, then we have a better chance of that happening. And I think that's as a people, our right to be fruitful and multiply.
Quick pause because there's something I want to tell you about that I'm genuinely loving. I've partnered up with Groovim Socks, an Israeli sock brand that knows how to have fun with identity. Their designs cover everything from Theodore Herzl to shakshuka, culture, humor, and personality that you can actually wear. And honestly, if you're like me and have a hard time choosing gifts for people, this is the perfect option. It's fun, thoughtful, and something people can actually use. And here's the deal. When you order 3 or more pairs, you get 45 shekels off. Just use the link in the description below or say my name, Dayna, Dayna, at the checkout, and you'll get your discount. Now back to the episode. I know the difference between dating Israeli men and American men. What's the difference between dating Israeli women and American women?
See, that's not, you need to, you have to kind of...
Hey, you're stuttering.
You have to, right, I'm trying to think. I gotta take it.
You don't have to be careful what you say.
You have to categorize that, because an Israeli woman, which it takes a while, by the way, they don't teach this in the Misrad HaKlita when you land. It's not part of the brochure, but they should. They should bring me in and explain. This is a Moroccan Israeli woman. This is a Polish Israeli woman. This is a Yemenite Israeli woman. These women have nothing in common except that they all speak the same language and all shop at the same store. Yes. So my fabulous wife is of Moroccan descent.
Mazel tov.
Yes. Exactly. They say there's a sentence, Kach giborim naflu, which is a sentence from the Bible, which you guys can Google. But yes, and thus heroes have fallen. But if you marry a Moroccan woman, that's who I can speak to. I didn't do much dating. I just saw her and fell madly in love. Hell hath no fury like an angry Moroccan woman with a law degree. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Dangerous.
But you are, I mean, you as a husband, you're treated like a king. The house is immaculately clean. You pick whatever you would think would be the dirtiest, most vile corner in my house, and there you could eat dinner and or perform surgery. Okay? And the kids are all... Everything is said. The homework, it's all done. We have 4 children, right? The logistics of just planning the after-school electives and activity. You need a engineering degree and 3 AI programs just to figure out. She can do all of that. An amazing chef, stunningly beautiful. Just don't piss her off, and everything's fine. Zakot, it's not that hard.
What does she think about what you do?
She loves what I do. My dad told me, by the way, he said to me, you need to find a woman who loves you loving what you love to do. And that's what I did. She loves what I do. She supports me. She's my biggest, she's not my fan, but she's my biggest, supporter. If she's at one of my concerts and someone's speaking, I like, oy vavoy.
She's like the security guard.
Security guard? That's why I try to remove some of if there's forks or knives near her at the table. Someone's speaking, they're liable to get a fork in the knee or something, a jab or whatever. Yeah, she's awesome.
What made you go on Kochav HaBa? It's usually for people who are at the beginning of their career. But then you see people like you and like HarPaz, you guys are really you have a really solid foundation.
My friend
Did they ask you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my friend is the artistic director of the show. He used to be High Five's road manager.
Okay.
The reason he got to the show is because of Amir, who was with me, one of my band members in High Five. Zichrono Livracha. He was his... He worked with him in the festival, and that's how he... Anyway, I know him very well. I saw him at Amir's memorial service in the summer, and a couple weeks later, he called me and asked me if I wanted to be on a Kochav, and I said, as a judge, sure. And he's like, no, I mean, you do have the resume to be a judge on the show, but we want you to be a contender. And I said, no, thank you. I appreciate it, but I'm good. And then I went home, and I saw that Spain was going to boycott the Eurovision. And then I sort of had a thought to myself about the fact that the Eurovision is a Hasbara event, if there ever was one. Hasbara, by the way, is advocacy for Israel, is the best way to... It comes from... Anyway, so I called my friend back. I said, if you let me sort of run on the platform of Hasbara, then I'll do it, because whoever gets to represent us in Eurovision has a lot more to deal with than the representative from Azerbaijan.
Yes.
For example. Noam, the guy who won the show, who's very talented and gifted and has a great voice and is completely deserving and able and capable to stand on a stage of this magnitude.
They stole his song. Is that bullshit?
There's all kinds of conspiracy theories surrounding the contest itself. I mean, like Kochav HaBa and the song and all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, he won. He's very gifted and very talented.
Do you think he deserved to win?
Sure. I mean, whatever deserves to. I mean, anybody.
Do you think he was the best singer there?
So again, that brings us to what I'm going to say. So I don't think that the Eurovision for Israel is a singing competition.
It's representing Israel.
It's who is best suited to represent the country. Because everybody that made it to the top 10 is a good enough of a singer to stand on stage and sing in front of. I mean, there's some better ones. He's an amazing, fabulously talented singer with, in his own right, with songs of his that he wrote that are currently, like his song right now is the #1 song on Israeli radio right now. Nothing to do with the Eurovision. He's great. And he's very smart, and he speaks French and all this kind of stuff. However, but, comma, parentheses, footnote, he is going to have some very difficult questions to answer, because he's going to get off the stage from his rehearsal, and the anti-Semite Swedish reporter is going to go, "Mr. Baton, that was an amazing preliminary rehearsal. Tell me, I read that you served in the Givati Commando Division in the IDF for 3.5 years. How many Palestinian babies did you murder?" You need to answer that question. I mean, there needs to be an answer to that question. They're already calling him, a genocide supporter, all these horrible lies, and the guy he plays piano and sings. So that is something that only the Israeli delegation, not to mention all the security concerns. I mean, it's just going to be a giant shit show over there. I'm not envious of him in any way in terms of like all of the other stuff that he has to go through. It's crazy. It's insane.
Do you think it's crazy that the Eurovision has become?
Of course, I'm not surprised, but of course, the place that was supposed to be the most apolitical, just a giant glitter fest of happiness and campiness and pride and just music and joy has become, for Israel only, a political hotbed. Not only. Austria, they said, thank you, Austria, that they're letting us participate in the they're granting us permission. Thank you, thank you, Austria, to be in the competition. But they're also not prohibiting protests, flag flying, meaning, like last time, supposedly, that what we heard and saw was after there was enforcement of like protesting. This time, they're going to let whoever. Won't be surprised if they fly a Hamas flag in the middle of the audience and they'll let it happen.
Do you think that we should be there? Or do you think the Israeli stubbornness is like, screw them, we're going to be there and we're going to make it happen?
I think that we deserve to be there. We're a member of the European Broadcasting Union. Why shouldn't we be there? Just like we're in the Olympics.
Because we just experience so much hate, and it just brings so much negativity to the contest.
Yes, but if we don't participate, then we are giving them exactly what they want, which is us to disappear, especially on false, pretenses. It'd be one thing if what they accused us of was true, and the ones that do all that stuff, they're, there's all kind of, Russia's performing, for example. You know what I mean? I just saw a post this morning about all of the UN, it's not sanctions, the UN, complaints? I can pull up my phone. Basically against countries, and like Israel has 15, Pakistan has 0, Sudan has 0, China has 0. They do to people in China, to Muslims in China. I mean, it's insanity. Anyway, I digress.
No,
Where's the guitar?
I'm a huge fan of, I was a huge fan of the Eurovision. Actually, my favorite show on Netflix movie is the Eurovision Song Contest.
With Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Did you see Eitan Fuchs made a movie about the Eurovision also, which I'm in.
Really?
I play the the MC of the Eurovision.
Cool.
Eitan, the same guy that I was.
Yeah. It's my favorite show, but it's nothing like that anymore.
No.
I don't like watching it. I don't like watching it even because of all the negativity. Like that started with Eden Golan. I don't like it. I think it's like I don't know.
It's always been. Here, look at the Olympics. Did you see how they welcomed us in Milan yesterday? Can I say yesterday, or does that date the?
No, you could say yesterday. You can say.
Did you see how they welcomed us in Milan?
Yes. The whole thing.
Or what they did to the bobsledding team? That they robbed their apartment. They broke into their apartment.
Personal belongings. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And the Super Bowl with the ad and this, it's insane.
What was the Super Bowl ad? situation?
Robert Kraft,
Right.
who is a very generous, pro-Israel, Zionist,
Patriots, right?
yeah, philanthropist who happens to own the New England Patriots, has an organization called the Blue Square Alliance, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, they ran an ad including the media buy and everything, cost $15 million, which shows a young supposedly Jewish student kind of walking into the high school.
Oh, yeah.
He's kind of a small guy, curly hair, looks Jewish, sort of.
Yeah.
And people are whispering, whatever, and he gets to his locker, and then someone sticks like a sticky note that says "Dirty Jew," and then a sort of larger kind of black American student comes and covers the sticker with this blue square, which is like a nod to the thing, and then walks out, and sort of like the black kid helps the Jewish kid overcome anti-Semitism, I guess, to sort of show black Jewish unity, to fight anti-Semitism. And then there's all this kind of backlash that the commercial puts Jews in a weak position. And then with AI, people were doing their own versions of the commercial. I saw this version this morning, which I liked very much, which was the same kid walking in the high school. He gets the Dirty Jew thing, and nothing happens. He just goes on, he goes on to high school, he finishes high school, goes to college, becomes like a brilliant, gifted like neurosurgeon, and then ends up treating somebody, and it's the guy who wrote Dirty Jew. He's the patient, and he gives them a sticky note and says thank you, or whatever it is. And I saw an AI version of the commercial where instead of it being a Nebuchadnezzar kid, it's this huge, like big, alsi guy with a big, like Magen David, like somebody just whisper Dirty, like, like Natan Levy, like MMA,
Yeah.
Just call me please call me a Dirty Jew, please. And my issue is that the whole fact that we fucking need a commercial about anti-Semitism is the issue. Robert Kraft has done more for the Jewish people and the state of Israel than most Jewish communities have combined. Okay? So whether the commercial was weak or not weak, whatever it is, if it's security or schooling or housing or philanthropy or sports, I mean, you can't go anywhere in Tel Aviv without bumping into a Robert Kraft facility for this, that, or the other thing. So leave the guy alone. He has nothing to do with it. The fact that we're even having this discussion is the issue. That there is a commercial on the Super Bowl to combat anti-Semitism is insane. It should be like, I mean, it's not, because people are so blinded, but what more of a wake-up call could you need than for there to be, for the mayor of New York to invoke Islam in his speech about, and like talking about what he's, and then
Well, what do you think the solution is, Michael? People should just get up and leave and move here?
Weather's great in Modin. We got cookies.
So why do you think
cookies and podcasts?
Second, why do you think people don't?
First of all, I think people do. The real estate market in this country is insane, and it has a lot to do with global anti-Semitism. Lots of Israelis leave the country, and then they get where they're going, and they very quickly realize, oops, it's an issue of quantity over quality, or in Hebrew, nochut, as opposed to echut.
Do you think the situation is just going to get worse?
Yes.
To what point?
I don't know. God help us all. And I I totally mean that, unfortunately, but it's true.
In Israel, most of the performers here are advocates just by the fact that they're Israeli, right? But you have in the United States the entertainers who have become advocates.
Yes.
Right?
Kind of fall into advocacy by accident.
And I think about it, like, what is the responsibility of somebody who's famous? Is it for them to be an advocate, even if their information isn't accurate? or should they just be quiet?
Well, it depends. First of all, if you're not, in my opinion, I mean, if you're not if you're ignorant about what you're speaking of, then you really shouldn't say anything. It tends to annoy people. I mean, you know, you don't have a political science degree. You went to theater school, or you know how to sing. Because you know how to sing doesn't mean I need to hear your opinion on Tibet or Gaza, for example.
But you see a lot of entertainers, especially at these like Golden Globe Awards, standing up there.
Well, the people that are sort of anti us are doing it because it's trendy, and they think it's cool, and they think it helps their social media presence. And then there are some that are just outright, you know, anti-Semites who are also all based on just complete ignorance. None of them have ever been here before. They don't know what they're talking about. They just, you know, hook, line, and sinker. I will say, you know, if you're Jewish and you're a celebrity and you live outside of Israel, it is a riskier play, you know. I live in Tel Aviv. Not a lot of anti-Semitism where I live. But that's also why I live here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's going to come to my daughter's school and call her a dirty kike. You know what I'm saying? It's just not going to happen. I mean, there's also no random acts of violence in this country either. There's terrorism and such, but, you know, I know that my daughter's going to, if she's going to go to a concert in the park, no sniper is going to stand up and start picking off people, and if there is, God forbid, he'll be shot dead within like seconds. There will be no negotiate. It's like I feel way safer here in that sense
For sure.
than anywhere else.
For sure.
So, you know, I can go on and make my hasbara, my advocacy, you know, videos on Instagram, and then go to the supermarket and not worry about someone, you know, talking to me or my kids because of me or whatever it is. So I understand. I have a friend of mine, for example. She's an actress. Very famous actress in Los Angeles, Selma Blair, who I grew up with. I went to that Hillel Day School with me. She and I grew up together, and she never spoke about her Judaism or anything ever before. And then after October 7th, she decided she wanted to talk about it, and we did a Facebook Live together, which got 1 million views, and then she lost like 4 contracts because she spoke about it. You know, and she's a single parent.
Much riskier there.
She's a single parent.
Yeah.
She has, MS. She has an assisting dog and a young son. You know, it's not like, you know, she can't. You know, she can't handle emotionally some 150 pro Hamas terrorist supporters protesting outside her house. I mean, like, you know, I don't blame her. I wouldn't want that either. You know what I mean? And then there are people like, you know, Michael Rappaport, for example, or who doubles down, you know, or someone like Yosef Hadar, who, you know, was in the army and saw a lot scarier stuff than a couple protesters on a college campus. You know, there's all kinds.
Yeah. How did you slip into advocacy?
So what I saw on October 8th, there were like 3 protests that were going on that were like, one was in New York, one was in LA, and one was in London, and they were all... I noticed that they all had like the same signs, the same font. In the States, everyone had the same water bottles, the same sleeping bag. Like this looked way too organized, you know.
Yeah.
It kind of, and it was against us. It wasn't even for us, you know. It was like against us. I wasn't. I couldn't believe there was what? There were still terrorists in the police station in Sderot. You know, I don't know if people don't know the story, but like terrorists.
Yeah, I had Alon Davidi here.
Oh, okay. So before they blew up the police station with the terrorists inside it, there were still terrorists in Sderot in the police station, and they're already protesting against us on 3 different places. So I went up to my roof with my phone, and because that's what I do anyway for my profession. I'm a presenter. I do all kinds of on-camera stuff in English. I just started talking on camera and reporting what was going on, because during Corona I used to play. I used to go on live and like take my guitar or piano and just play for hours, and people would come on and listen to whatever it is. So I did the same thing and just started talking, and then I got picked up by an interview here and an interview on NPR and an interview on NBC, and then I started making like more videos. I used to make videos when I was jogging, and they started gaining traction. Anyway, from long story short, the format kind of like evolved into me now, where it's me basically. I literally stand in my parking lot underneath my house.
Yeah, you had a very unique situation there.
With with my sunglasses in my. It looks like I'm standing in some sort of dungeon cell, whatever. My friends joke like, Michael, when is another video from the parking lot coming? And I just give a little rant about whatever's going on. Every time I think I'm done, unfortunately, the world hands me another topic that I feel the need to talk about. And that's it. It's not sponsored by anybody. I'm not affiliated with anyone. I'm not, it's just...
Do you feel a certain responsibility?
I feel 100%. Mostly I don't think I'm going to try and convince any, like, terrorist supporters. I don't get involved deeply in the conversation. People that, tell me that they want to, send my children to Auschwitz or something. I don't really respond to those kind of things. But I'm trying to go after to empower Jews who don't know their history, who don't know their background, who don't know their culture. Especially a lot of the Jews that have a lot of suicidal empathy. You know what I mean, or a lot of self-hate for whatever reason, and wake them up. I care not about the algorithm. I say all kinds of words that you're not supposed to say. I don't say grape. I don't say unalive. I say the words. That's what they did. They got it all on GoPros. If they are proud enough about what they did, then I have no problem speaking about it.
How does it affect you personally to be involved in this situation so deeply? Because it is.
I feel a sense of responsibility because of the sort of response that I get from people.
You feel like there's a thirst that people want to know about.
They say,
yeah.
Please make waiting to hear what you think about such and such, or I mean the feedback that I get. People on the street here in Israel, which is I wasn't expecting because most of my audience. I mean, I speak in English, so I wasn't expecting lots of Israelis to comment about it because they don't really need the advocacy. Some do, but most don't. And the Israelis also, they were like, we love what you do. There are not enough people that speak up for this country, and they are the numbers game. I mean, they're just destroying us. There's billions of them and millions of us, and out of the millions of us, most of us aren't doing anything. And the ones that do, it's an uphill battle.
When I started the podcast, Eitan was one of my first guests. And he said at the beginning...
Eitan Chitayat.
Yes.
The one and only. L'chaim Eitan. You're that Jew.
L'chaim Eitan. He said there wasn't enough Jewish leaders, Jewish voices in North America and around the world. Do you think that's true? Do you think anything has changed since the beginning?
Eitan says there aren't enough Jews. I think, more have definitely, come out of the woodwork, but certainly not enough. Not nearly enough.
You think it would make a difference? Even if there
I don't
were
think,
more?
yeah. I mean, I think we continue to make a difference, We're 0.02% of the population, but our contributions to humankind are enormous, so...
Do you think, Michael, that the war is over?
The war on what? Which war? The war on anti-Semitism?
Not the war on anti-Semitism. Yeah, the Gaza, the whole aftermath of October 7th.
I don't think so. Over? I mean, I think the big wave is over. We're sort of in a crossroads right now.
Do you think?
I saw somebody said so. There's some Iranian influencer that committed suicide or something because Trump is now talking to the Iranians or something or whatever. I mean, he didn't pull the trigger. Everyone here was bracing for something.
I know.
He didn't pull the trigger, and if they're still in power when this is all over, then it's not over.
Are you on Shpilkas? Do you feel like something could
I live
happen?
in Israel, We're always on Shpilkas here. You and I could be having a conversation right now.
We are in the bomb shelter, so...
A siren could go off, and we would be like, okay, I guess it's happening. You know what I mean?
Doesn't that induce a little bit of trauma?
This whole country is in PTSD. You know, my son, my 9-year-old son, learned the city names of all the cities in Israel by reading the warnings on the television. You know, which cities have alarms, and he doesn't play his PlayStation. He plays his PlayStation on mute so that he can, and with his door open, so that he can hear if there's a siren. You know, like he won't close the door and put his headphones on and play. He'll keep it on mute, keep the door open. Still now to this day, because he doesn't believe me that there won't be, a siren. And we live kind of sonically in close proximity to the freeway, so you can hear like when a fast motorcycle like accelerates very quickly, it has the same frequency as a siren.
That's right.
And you can hear it from our roof. And it don't matter where he is in the house, as soon as he hears the thing, he's next to me like within a second.
Could you imagine what it'd be like to have children who were in the army, like I did? It was 100 times.
I thought about
you can't compare. Everybody's.
Everyone has a crazy story. I'll tell you a completely random. This is completely just here's something that nobody talks about type of thing. So we have in our build. I live right across the street from like the headquarters, basically central command of the Israeli security
Near Hashalom
network. Yeah, I live on Benachalat Yitzchak, which is the neighborhood on the other side of Azrieli, which is where it's like the Pentagon of Israel, the Pentagon, the CIA, plus a shopping center, plus the biggest train station, plus the biggest intersection. It's all there, and I live 3 minutes walk from the place. All the missiles in the entire region in the Middle East are aimed basically within 500 meters of my house. Okay? So when sirens go off where we are, like they're aiming right, I live, still have to, it's far. It takes 5-10 minutes to walk there, but it's not far. Not for a missile anyway. Okay. There's a severely disabled man that lives in our building. Like severely disabled, like Stephen Hawking, in a huge wheelchair with a breathing apparatus that he's connected to and whatever it is. And he lives on the second floor. And we don't have mamads, like safe rooms in our apartment. The stairwell is reinforced, but we have a real bomb shelter in our building.
in the basement.
3 floors under the parking lot. Mm-hmm. And the way they design it's like a different stairwell. You've got to go in, whatever it is. So during when the sirens would go off and they weren't coming from Iran, or they were Hamas rockets, which are like smaller rockets, then you go into the stairwell, you go a couple floors down, and you're okay. This time, though, or when the ballistic missiles come in, if they hit your building goes away. You've got to be in the bomb shelter. So this poor guy wheels himself out into the stairwell of his second floor apartment, like into the stairwell. And that's as far as he can go. Can't go in the elevator, because the elevators, you're not supposed to go in the elevators when the sirens are working. And even if you could go in the elevator, he gets down to the lobby. You have to go into a different stairwell. There's the elevator pier doesn't go down into the bomb shelter area, so there's no vacuum. It's like a different, you have to go into the stairwell, then go to the left, and then go down a different bomb shelter staircase that's graded differently, built out of cement. There's no elevator shaft. There's a door. It's 3. He's not getting down there, okay? I don't know how long it would take to disconnect the guy from his thing, I don't even know if you could. But if you could, there's just no way to get him down there enough time. So what happens is he wheels himself into the stairwell, and then the entire building runs down the stairs and has to pass this gentleman in his wheelchair with his Filipino nurse that stands next to him. We all run by him. Kids, old people, dogs, you name it. We go by this guy, this poor, he's like sitting there with his thing, it's 2:30 in the morning, and we're all running by him. All I can think about, we go downstairs, and then we close, it's like the scene from the submarine where you seal off the door, and then you hear, boom, boom, the whole building is shaking. And this guy is on the second floor. And his nurse doesn't leave his side, by the way, to the nurse's credit. And this happens repeatedly for like 13 days on a consistent basis. You see this guy, there's nothing you can do.
This is the reality.
This is the reality.
When I was working in Madad, there's also, I remember, it's actually a funnier story.
There's lots, lots of old people that are coming down, they're like, screw it.
I was at a patient's house, a woman, and her room was in the mamad, and her husband, who walks with a walker, was outside. She's like, close the door, leave him out there, leave him outside.
Screw him.
Screw him. Not funny. Funny, not funny.
We had some older people in my building also. She was like, her husband passed away. My neighbor on our floor. She's like 90. Her husband died last year. She's like, if it's my time, it's my time. I'm like, get out of bed. What do you mean it's your time? Yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, we live on the top floors. If a missile hits, it's going to hit.
Nothing prepares us for this.
Yeah. And it's crazy. And inside the bomb shelter, everyone, my son still, like my oldest daughter, she's on TikTok because she doesn't want to know anything. I tell her, don't want to know anything. I don't want to know who died. Don't know who came back. I don't want to hear about it. That's how my 16-year-old dealt with it. My 13-year-old has some friends like that live in the building, so like she would be with them or on her phone, whatever it is. My 9-year-old daughter was with her 9-year-old friends in the building, and they have a puppy. And my son on me, trembling from fear every time. Boom, boom, boom. You hear the bombs go off, and you hear our missiles taking out their missiles.
How do you console your kids? Do you guys discuss it? Like, how do you?
So in the beginning, we didn't discuss it at all. You tried at the beginning. We didn't know it was going to be 2.5 years. But in the beginning, you try and just kind of keep him as sheltered as you can. The beginning was really scary. The beginning was really scary.
Yeah.
I remember like Saturday morning when the sirens went off on October 7th was Simchat Torah. And after we came back from the stairwell and we saw all the horrible things were going on television, everybody stayed home, and I went to my friend's house to help him take his sukkah down and keep guard, because we really thought that, like, we didn't know. We thought they were coming from Tel Aviv.
That's right.
I for sure thought, well, listen, if they were able to do what they were to do amongst all this commotion, why wouldn't they send, a rogue group of like sleepers up into Tel Aviv and just lay low, until nighttime and then start, nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe what was happening. So it was. So, obviously we didn't come up and say, you guys, no one's, but after a while, it just seeped into the whole country. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing it. The fact that my, at the time, 7-year-old son knew what the word hostage was, or terrorist was, or kidnapping, or all the,
Any regrets of living here?
No.
Even with all of this trauma?
No.
You think it's worth it?
100%.
Because?
Rather live here than deal with the hate and anti-Semitism outside this country. For my kids. For me, it's whatever. I'm not the issue anymore. That's what, when I say that, I'm talking about because of my children. If I was a single, guy with no ties to anything, then I could care, I know how to lay low and just be me and do my own thing. But when there's children involved, 1,000%, hands down, no place on earth better than this country.
Do your kids ever say they want to leave?
All the time. I get it. I understand.
Would you be upset if they left?
No, I'm sure they'll all go, do their time in the States, whatever. We have lots of family and friends there. And, I'm from Michigan. It's a beautiful place, lakes and stuff. And
are your parents still alive?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, okay.
My father passed away in March of last year.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And my mom passed away like 11 years ago, I think. 12 years ago. Something.
You still have family back there?
My sister, yeah.
Yeah?
Sister,
Does she ever come
aunts.
visit?
Rarely. We go there more than they come here.
It was really awesome sitting and talking to you.
Thank you. It was fun being here.
Yeah. You're a really special guy.
Toda HaBa.
I wish you a
Thank
lot
you so
of
much.
success. Do you want to sing
Back
something
at
on
you.
the guitar?
Sure. If
You want it?
Bekef.
Yeah.
All right.
You could makdish me a song.
All right, cool. This was our first single. אני האש וגם המים, אני הים והשמיים, לא שטן כי רק מלאך, יותר מכל אני שלך. אני היום, אני אתמול, אני קטן, אני גדול, אני אדום וגם כחול, בשבילך אתן הכל. אבנה לך טירה, אקים מגדלים, אקח אותך גבוה בתוך העננים, אשיר לך שירים, אכתוב מכתבים ותאמיני לי פרח, נהיה מאושרים. אני אוהב אותך, אני אוהב אותך כל כך, אני אוהב אותך, אני אוהב, אני צוחק, אני בוכה, אני מוצא ולא מוצא, אם יוצא או לא יוצא, חוץ ממך אני לא מוצא. אני איתך ורק איתך, אני איתך וגם תותך, אם עכשיו או אחר כך, יותר מכל אני שלך. אבנה לך טירה, אקים מגדלים, אקח אותך גבוה לתוך העננים, אשיר לך שירים, אכתוב מכתבים ותאמיני לי פרח, נהיה מאושרים. אני אוהב אותך, אני אוהב אותך, אני אוהב אותך, אני אוהב. תודה.
Michael,
עם ישראל חי.
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for all that you do,
תודה רבה לך.
for all the joy and happiness that you bring, and you should continue with much success.
Thank you
I'm
very
so
much.
appreciative that you
Thanks
came
for the
to here.
socks.
Am Yisrael Chai. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of The Dayna Show. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe to the podcast, like and share with your friends on social media, and rate us 5 stars. Don't forget to tune in next week, and we'll see you then.